guys, it's been a minute, more like 4 or 5 weeks. Sorry I haven't posted an update. Been extremely busy. So where we left off last was Beau gave you an update. We were gonna be a couple weeks for parts. The parts did show up for the rear end about 2.5 weeks after that. If you don't know what happened with the car, if you go back, I'll link the video actually here. You can find out what happened. But yeah, so all the parts showed up about 2.5 weeks from our last update there. Pretty much right away we got on it, got the car up, pulled the rear end right out of the car, stripped the rear end, got it all prepped up. So this was the first time for myself or Beau getting into setting up a rear end. So luckily enough, big shout out to Peter Forcellini. Forcellini came out on the Saturday and helped us put the rear end together and showed us how to line everything up. It was a big lesson. It was a very good lesson, and it was great that Peter was able to share that with us. And it was a long day, 14 hours. Shout out to both those guys for hustling for 14 hours on my car on a Saturday, so it's much appreciated. So yeah, after Saturday we got the rear end, all the gears, everything in. So all that was left to put in was the axles and the C-clip eliminators. So I got working on that, and then we ran into a bit of an issue with that. Last year I actually twisted an axle tube, had that fixed up by Garth over at Weber Chassis, so he was able to straighten that up, welded my tubes up. So when we went to install the axles and the C-clip eliminators, one side went in no issue. The other side we threw it in and it was off by probably 1/2 inch. So what had happened, it looks like the axle tube was coming out of the housing on a bit of an angle. So with that little bit of variance there, we weren't able to get the C-clip eliminators to bolt on. With the old stuff, it was all fine. Everything's all loose. It's a totally different setup with the factory stuff. So there was no issues there. So bit of a panic. Got in touch with Garth over at Weber Chassis. Huge shout out to Garth. He got it in right away that day, got it straightened up, and we had the rear end back the next day. So following day there, we got the axles all in and started putting it back in the car. So it was a 1 week effort on that, 40+ hours. So it was a huge grind for that. I didn't record a lot of it, actually barely any of it, because I was just grinding and just didn't really have time to be filming. So here we are. It's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm out grocery shopping right now. Just showed up here at Zare's. So yeah, out in the streetcar, doing grocery things, streetcar things. Yeah, so the car's all ready now, obviously, because I'm driving it. We're 1 week away from the Ontario Street Outlaws No Prep, so that'll be our first race of the year. Unfortunately, we missed 2 because of the car breaking down, but we're excited for next weekend. We'll be there for stick shift, and we plan on dominating. So a little insight on the rear end. What's changed with the rear end now is we've put a spool in it. We put 35 spline axles with C-clip eliminators. It's all strange. Gears, so we changed the gear. So the car had a 355 in it before, and I'd have to hit 4th just at the end of the 8th mile. So went with a 331 this time to eliminate that shift into 4th gear. So we got 1, 2, 3, and then we should be crossing the line at the top of 3rd gear. So this setup should work a lot better. Yesterday I spent about an hour looking over the data from the 2 passes that we did make, test passes at St. Thomas. So I think I've got a pretty good setup for first round at TMP. TMP is pretty sticky. It is back of the track, but it does hook pretty hard over there. So new gear, so it's a little bit of a change. Not too sure how that's going to work on the launch, but I've got a pretty good idea of where we're going to start out on Sunday. So yeah, excited to get back to doing some more content. Unfortunately, in the past month, all we had was working on the car, and I just didn't have time to be filming. So we're 1 week away from OSO. We'll be filming all of that, documenting that day, and then the race is going forward. So fingers crossed that we don't break again. The next weak point is the transmission. We're still on a factory MT82. It does have a clutch, flywheel, clutch line, MGW shifter. So everything surrounding the transmission is upgraded, but it is still all stock MT82. So we're rolling the dice on that. Hopefully it holds up, because I don't think we can afford that brake this season with all the brakes we've had in the past 2 years. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you like what you see, you like what you hear, subscribe. Lots of content, race content coming. Next weekend we'll get started on that, and then we'll keep you posted to where we'll be racing after that. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.